Hello and welcome to Global News Factory. I'm your host Vikrant. The Orange Man's war on BRICS continues. The tariff emperor imposed 25% more tariffs on India today because Delhi is apparently financing the war in Ukraine by purchasing Russian oil. So, the combined tariff rate on India is now 50%. See, Trump is desperate now because India refuses to stop buying Russian oil. Trump signed an executive order proudly boasting that this is in response to India's oil trade with Russia. But let's pause and examine the fine print of his hypocrisy. In Trump's world, revenues from Russian oil fund war, but revenues from Russian LNG, which his beloved EU pals are buying in record amounts, are somehow clean and saintly. So, oil is equal to war, but LNG is equal to what? Roads, streetlights, fireworks. Maybe Russia is using that money to buy tulips for Moscow parks, right? That is how absurd this is. This is Trump's logic. Europe's gas payments to Russia have been and still are far more than what India spends on Russian oil. But Europe gets a pass, India gets tariffs. Classic Trump, facts be damned, only theatrics matter. From Brazil to India, from Russia to China, Trump is throwing punches at every BRICS country like a drunk uncle at a wedding trying to settle old scores. But here is the twist in the tale. BRICS is not backing down, it is firing back. In a major development, India's Modi, China's Xi Jinping and Russia's Putin are all set to meet this month in China on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization or the SCO summit. This summit just got a whole lot spicier. Putin had already confirmed his visit to China. Now Modi has also signed up right before Trump announced the new tariffs today. It is like the three superheroes, the three heroes of BRICS are assembling not for popcorn and selfies, but to form a joint front. And each of them holds a dangerous card, a dangerous weapon in their hand. Let's start with Russia. Russia can bring global oil markets to their knees in minutes by disrupting key pipelines like Caspian Pipeline Consortium, the CPC, a massive route that delivers over 1.3 million barrels per day of crude from Kazakhstan and Russia to global markets via the Black Sea. A disruption there would mean chaos in Europe and energy prices spiraling out of control. Russia is the world's second largest oil exporter. If it curtails its own exports for a few days, now that alone would be enough to set Trump's posterior on fire. Now China, on the other hand, has the rare earth weapon. These rare earth elements are essential for everything from electronic vehicles to smartphones to US fighter jets. China controls over 70% of global production and nearly 90% of the global processing capacity. If Xi Jinping even slightly shuts the tap on rare earth exports, the US tech and defense companies would go into cardiac arrest. Assembly lines would freeze, weapons production would slow, the Pentagon would be left begging. And then comes India, armed with pills. You know what? Trump has deliberately exempted India's pharma sector from these tariffs, 50% tariffs. Why? Because if India shuts the tap, the US healthcare system goes into a coma. India supplies 40% of the US's generic drugs. Now, these include life-saving drugs like antibiotics, statins, blood pressure medications, diabetes treatments, and painkillers. If India cuts or even delays pharma exports, American pharmacies will run out of stock within weeks. Hospitals will struggle, prices will shoot up. A $10 drug could suddenly cost $200 if replaced by an American or European brand. After all, India is called the pharmacy of the world. America spends $4.5 trillion annually on healthcare. That is 17% of its GDP, 17. So even a small price hike in generics would add billions to the burden. And don't think the US can just manufacture these drugs at home. Its domestic production capacity is limited. Building new plants would take years thanks to red tape, high costs, and lack of skilled workers. India does not even need to cut all supplies, just diverting them to Europe or Africa would be enough to make the US feel the heat. Meanwhile, Brazil is also fuming. Like India, Brazil now faces a 50% tariff. But Brazil's Lula is not taking Trump's call. Instead, he announced literally that he would call Xi and Modi, not Trump. The ship has sailed, he said.
Vocês pensam, eu não vou ligar para o Trump para comercializar, não, porque ele não quer falar. Mas pode ficar certo, Marina. Eu vou ligar para o Trump para convidá-lo para vir para a COP, porque eu quero saber o que ele pensa da questão climática. Vou ter a gentileza de ligar. Vou ligar para ele, vou ligar para o Xi Jinping, vou ligar para o primeiro-ministro Modi, vou ligar. Só não vou ligar para o Putin, porque o Putin não está podendo dizer. Mas, obviamente, que eu não vou deixar de compreender a importância da relação diplomática com os Estados Unidos, que já dura 201 anos. Eu não vou esquecer que eles também já deram o golpe aqui, ajudaram a dar o golpe. Mas o que eu quero saber é daqui para frente o que é que eu faço. E daqui para frente eles têm que saber que nós temos o que negociar. Nós temos tamanho, nós temos postura, nós temos interesses econômicos e interesses políticos para negociar. Eu não vou abrir mão de achar que a gente precisa procurar construir uma moeda alternativa para que a gente possa negociar com os outros países. Eu não preciso ficar subordinado ao dólar.
BRICS is done with Trump's tantrums. The bloc is coordinating, planning, assembling. So Trump may think tariffs are a weapon, but BRICS has an arsenal of its own: oil, tech, pharma, and unity. And this time, I hope, BRICS won't play defense. And that's all for now. Thank you very much for staying with me. You're watching GNF.